Hello and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another Revisitag where I go through this jar of tags that I have collated from every time I've been tagged in something. I have a go at the tag with absolutely no preparation. This tag, or this month's tag, is going to be the Heathers book tag. The Heathers book tag was originally created by Carrie Fisher because they were in Heathers and is about a year old at the time that I'm doing this. Thank you. I can't remember who tagged me in this. I just know that I was tagged in this ages ago. Probably Becca. So thank you, Becca. First question is the most beautiful book on your shelves. That's really hard because I've got some really beautiful books and now I have to mentally decide which one is the most beautiful. I'm going to go for this one, not necessarily because it's the most beautiful, because I think a lot of these books are very, very beautiful for a variety of different reasons. But because it is my newest pretty book, this is The Marriage Portrait. It already looks like it is made of that really gorgeous old-fashioned curtain material or wallpaper, which I absolutely adore. I love the jungle, I love the colours of this. But it then has a snaky in paper and a tiger on the cover. And I just really enjoy everything about the way this is crafted. I read Hamnet by Maggie Farrell and thought it was absolutely beautiful. And I know that this one is based on the same portrait that My Last Duchess by Robert Browning is, which is one of my favourite poems of all time. So I really like that those two worlds are colliding and it's just such a stunning and decadent cover. I just think it's beautiful and I'm really excited to get to it. The next question is Fight For Me, a book which has a character that is loyal to the end. That's very easy. I have lots of books with really loyal characters, so now I just have to narrow it down again. Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder. Now ignore how hideous this cover is. Not only is it a terribly designed cover, it's shiny. Ew. Very Loot are doing swanky editions of this, so people will be talking about this again very soon, I'm sure. Anyway, this is a story about a young girl called Yelena who has kind of been kept a prisoner for the last 3 years after she killed someone that had been ritually abusing her and sexually assaulting her. And she is trained to be someone who tastes for poisons in the king's food. It's not a king, it's a general, but anyway, you get the general idea. She is an incredibly loyal character and she develops friendships with other soldiers who are also incredibly loyal. And I just really enjoy their friendship. All of them are very loyal to each other and it's just... As the books progress, they are just my precious babies and I love them so much. The next question is Dead Girl Walking, the steamiest book you've ever read. I mean, there's been steamy and then there's been like romantic steamy, but mainly steamy. The next question is The Mean Side of Me, a book that made you feel less alone. This will be a reread for me. And I need you to just suspend your disbelief a little bit because of the title. The title's a lot. How to Be Popular by Meg Cabot. This was the book that I was reading when I was being bullied by all the popular girls. And it was timed very aptly because I was not the prettiest, I was not the smartest, I wasn't even the nicest. I had nothing really going for me. And then I read this and I saw how she was trying to be something she didn't really want to be, to impress people who didn't really matter. The whole time her best friend was there kind of being like, I've been in love with you from the start and you're acting really weird. And I just really liked that and it did make me feel less alone and it did make me appreciate those who were around me. And I just think it's one of those books where as a kid, it was just what I needed at the right time. It was a lot of fun to read and I'm really looking forward to rereading it and I'm really hoping it holds up. Although admittedly, I'm not going through all that trauma now. I am not being bullied. I do not have a best friend who's in love with me and I don't have to worry about any of those things. But it's a good read. It's a fun read and it made me feel less alone, which is that was the tag. The next one is You're Welcome, a book where the character got their comeuppance. I read a lot of middle grade where that happens, where people kind of get what they deserve. As for adult books, bad things tend to happen to good people. So I don't really know. I would say though, okay, this is a controversial one. Cersei includes some sexual assault and there are moments where sailors rock up onto Cersei's island and sexually assault and harass the nymphs and goddesses that are living there. And Cersei turns them all into pigs. Literal pigs, which she then like cooks and eats and serves to other sailors who rock up doing the same thing. And it becomes a vicious cycle where trash men are treated in a trash way. And eventually a guy has a conversation with her for more than 5 minutes and she's like, okay, maybe not all men, hashtag not all men. But up until that point, most men. And there are a few moments in this where even Cersei gets her comeuppance when actually she's done terrible things and those have come back to bite her in the arse. But I really like that this was generally a very empathetic story. I feel like if I'm going to get flack for any of it, it'll be for this. Next is Never Shut Up and it is a book where a character has a mic drop moment. I'm going to go for this one. just because I love going for this one. There are several mic drop moments in this. There are several moments where maybe not the main character, but there are certainly characters that kind of come in and be like,
honey, you've got a big storm coming.
So The Murder of Graham Catton is a gothic thriller about a woman who may or may not have killed her husband 10 years ago. She doesn't really remember. But there's a podcast that's come out all about it that may or may not prove that she did it, and may or may not prove that the man who was arrested for it didn't do it. And then it becomes this like mix between psychological and supernatural thriller. You have no idea what's going on. Is it all in her head? Did she kill her husband? So many mic drop moments. And to prove that, I did this as an audiobook initially because I got it through NetGalley, and it blew me away because I was like listening to it. It was all neatly wrapped up, and then there was like 2.5 hours to go, and I was like, you can't do that to me. And then everything after that just felt like mic drop moments, left, right and centre, cliffhangers, plot twists. It was a fantastic read. It was a really fun read, so would definitely count for this prompt. Next is a book where the character has a really perfect moment before the shit hits the fan. And again, I feel like Murder of Graham Catton would have worked for that really well. I'm going to say The Last Graduate, which is the sequel, and therefore I will not tell you why, but if you read it, you will know why. Next is a book where the parents accept the child unconditionally. Not as easy as you think, but I have one. In Darkwood, which is a book all about witches and kind of fairy tales and things like that, there is a young girl who becomes the Mud Witch, and she has 2 step parents, and it is never explained how they are both step parents other than the fact that they are both step parents, but they do everything in their power. They are classic parents in the fact that they nitpick and nag and shit like that, but they do everything in their power to protect both of their children, Hansel and Gretel, and they do love them unconditionally. And it's so lovely to see in a middle grade especially, just unconditional love, support, encouragement, etc. It's a fun read too. I bang on about this book all the time. It is so much fun. I would recommend it to everybody. Next is I Say No, a book where the character sticks up for themselves. I tend to like a dystopia and a thriller, so I guess you could argue that's a lot of them. But again, one that I like to recommend just because I can recommend it is The Beautiful Ones. In this, there is a love triangle between Nina, Valerie, and Henry. Henry? Is his name Henry? I always forget what his name is because I care about him the least. Hector. I was close. And there is a moment where Nina, the youngest, kind of stands up to Valerie and Hector and literally says no, and very much decides how she wants her life to go. But the story is a lot about her discovering about herself and learning about her life, but it is very much a Spanish romantic drama. This one works that prompt. And then the last one is a character who is hopeful against all odds. Hopeful against all odds? No self-doubt whatsoever. Not sure I know her. All odds. All odds? Not just some of them. All of them. Okay, I have my answer, but I can't reach the book. I'm going to go with Skullduggery Pleasant. Skullduggery Pleasant in every single Skullduggery Pleasant book is hopeful, regardless of the odds. And usually, it's understandable because he actually nails it. Read that series. It's really fucking good. So that's it. That's the full Heather's tag. I'm going to tag Tish because I haven't seen Tish do a tag in a while, and I feel like a tag is a very easy thing for them to do. I don't know if they've seen Heather's, but maybe they have. And the other person I'm going to tag is Lizzie, because when I can't think of anyone else to tag, I tag Lizzie. So if you want to take part in this tag, obviously feel free to do that. I'd love to see your response. Treat yourself to something from Waypoint because it supports me and my content. Make sure to like and subscribe, and most importantly, have a nice day.